Good morning children. This is the fifth video of History Civics class 6 and today we'll discuss the fourth chapter and the name of the chapter is the Chinese Civilization. So there are some points we will discuss it. First we will discuss that when this Chinese civilization started. Next is the society. Third is the religion. Fourth is the occupation. Fifth is the trade. Sixth is the major achievements in terms of architecture and sciences, and the seventh number is the script. Now children, open page number 34 and be ready. Around 1800 BCE, a civilization arose in China along the river Honghe. Now, there was a civilization which arose in China in 1800 BCE. And this river provided water for cultivation of crops. Honghe is also called the sorrow of China. Now why it is called the sorrow of China? Because it often changed its course after floods, destroying crops and irrigation canals. Now children, turn the page. Now we'll talk about the society. The king held the highest position in the society. In Chinese civilization, the king was the one who held the highest position in the society. Then came the nobles who assisted the king. Merchants, craftsmen and farmers were next. Farmers formed the bulk of the populations were large in number. At the bottom were the slaves. So, we'll talk about the family. In terms of family, family was very important unit. The head of the family was highly respected. Means those who were the head of the family, they were highly respected person and the children respected their elders too. Now let's see the religion. People worship the forces of nature. It was believed that after death, a human being turned into a powerful soul. They believed that after death, the human being turned into a powerful soul which had to be worshipped. Priests were believed to be in close touch with the gods and those people who wanted to know their future, they consulted them. Consulted whom? Consulted the priest. Next is the occupation. In terms of agriculture, a majority of people practiced agriculture. A vast irrigation network helped to grow crops production such as rice, wheat, barley, sorghum, millets, soybean and tea were the main crops, and the Chinese were the first to cultivate tea. And the tea was considered to be the most popular drink among them. In terms of occupation, the people were engaged in other occupations also, such as sericulture, metalwork, woodwork and pottery making. First we will see about the sericulture. Sericulture means rearing of the silk. The Chinese were the first to make silk. They reared silkworms on mulberry trees, the weavers who wore clothes from the threads. Thus, Chinese silk was famous all over the world, and for a long time it remained the chief item of export. Now children, turn the page. Page number 36. Now we'll talk about the other occupation, which was metalwork. The Chinese craftsmen specialized in metalwork. Bronze casting was highly developed. People made a beautiful statues, weapons and bronze vessels which was decorated with figures of animals and dragons. Next was the pottery making. The Chinese made beautiful glazed pottery. Items such as vases, jars, cups, saucers and bowls. And these vessels are known as Chinaware because they had a glossy surface and were decorated with pictures and other colorful designs. Next was the woodwork. As you all know that China was rich in timber, so timber was used to construct the buildings, and the place's walls were made of polished wood. Thus, the Chinese also crafted beautiful objects of wood inlaid with ivory. Next, we will talk about the trade. China had trade relationship with Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia and India. That whatever goods they have, they export those goods in these countries. Silk, Chinaware, tea and paper were the main items of export. Now we'll see what were the major achievements in terms of architecture and sciences. So first we will talk about the architecture. The Great Wall of China, you can see the picture in your book, is the greatest architectural feat of the Chinese, and it was built in the 3rd century BCE to keep the northern borders safe from tribal attacks. The Great Wall of China is about 8,850 kilometers long, as it runs over mountains, plains and deserts. The soldiers lived in these towers and keep a watch on enemy activities. The Chinese also built many pagodas, and what are these pagodas known as? These were temples where followers of Buddhism prayed. Next is the sciences. The Chinese contributed to almost all branches of sciences. They used both solar and lunar calendars. They could predict eclipse and the appearance of comets. Now, comets, an object in space which looks like a star. Next, we will talk about the script, that how they wrote the script. The Chinese script is in the form of pictures, and each picture represents a word or an idea. So, this Chinese script is based on pictures, and each picture represents a word or an idea. The script is written from top to bottom. Being a difficult script, education remained the privilege of a selected few. And because the script was so difficult that very few people received the education. Thus, the Chinese wrote on bamboo plates, animal bones and on silk cloth with a brush made of camel hair. Later, the Chinese began to write on paper. Thus, the civilization that developed in China was very advanced, and it contributed to the progress of mankind. So, children, I hope that you all have understood this chapter. Thank you and take care of yourselves.